Yo, what's going on, everyone? This is Jonathan Hernandez of the Lakers Legacy Podcast. And in today's video, let's take a very early look at the potential 2026 NBA buyout market. And today, I want to give you a list of 6 to 8 of my most favorite potential buyout targets who I think will most likely get bought out by January/February, maybe even earlier. Now, before I start listing out specific names, let's first take a quick look at the Lakers' history in the buyout market. All right, so in the slide next to me, I have pulled up the Lakers' buyout history in the Rob Pelinka era, and I think this will give you a good breakdown of just why and how important this buyout market transaction period is for the Los Angeles Lakers and why you should keep a lookout for the names that I mentioned in this video. So let's run through the list really quickly. So in 2020, the Lakers were able to sign both Markieff Morris and Dion Waiters off the buyout market. Obviously, that was during the pandemic. The bubble happened, but both of them actually ended up joining the Lakers in the bubble, especially because Avery Bradley wasn't able to attend. Now, while Dion Waiters didn't end up amounting to much during that championship run, Markieff Morris ended up being a pivotal piece to the Los Angeles Lakers during that run. He ended up shooting about 40% from three. He was the perfect sort of backup stretch big for the Lakers. And he ended up being one of the more meaningful buyout market signings for the Lakers, even up until to this day, because obviously his signing led to a championship. So those are the 2020 buyout market signings. I forgot to include J.R. Smith here. He ended up not doing much for the Lakers as well, outside of a 20-point game in one of the bubble exhibition games. But yeah, Markieff Morris, Dion Waiters, and J.R. Smith were the Lakers' buyout market signings in 2020. Now, in 2021, we all infamously remember that Andre Drummond was our big buyout signing that year. And yeah, that one was a complicated signing because I don't even think Andre Drummond played poorly for the Lakers. He did what he was supposed to do. He scored points. He rebounded the ball. His arrival, though, spelled some problems for the Lakers' current core, which featured Marc Gasol at the time. And I think it just kind of messed up the Lakers' overall cohesion and chemistry. And obviously, we know what happened that season. Anthony Davis ended up getting injured, and the Lakers ended up losing to the Phoenix Suns in the first round after having been up 2-1. But regardless, Andre Drummond was one of the best, if not the best, buyout market signings in 2021, and the Lakers were able to nab him. Now, let's skip over the 2022 season because that was a lost season with Russell Westbrook. We ended up signing DJ Augustine off the buyout market and Wenyen Gabriel to a two-way contract. 2023, I do not believe we had a buyout market signing because that was when we traded Russell Westbrook for D'Angelo Russell, Jared Vanderbilt, Malik Beasley. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't believe we had a buyout signing in 2023. But 2024, our next big buyout signing was Spencer Dinwiddie. And this buyout signing came as a bit of a surprise because no one expected Spencer Dinwiddie to reach a buyout agreement at the time because he was making like $21 million. But he ended up reaching a buyout agreement with, I believe, the Toronto Raptors. There was some sort of trade transaction with Spencer Dinwiddie. He ended up reaching a buyout agreement, and the Lakers were able to nab him. And again, the Lakers were once again able to nab one of the best, if not the best, buyout market guy on the market. So there's Spencer Dinwiddie for 2024. And obviously, fast forward to this summer, two buyout candidates, DeAndre Ayton and Marcus Smart. These were unquestionably the best buyout guys on the market who ended up reaching an agreement with their deal. And the Lakers, once again, were able to sign them. So I lay out the Lakers' buyout history in this respect just to show you that the buyout market has proven very crucial to the Lakers, whether or not the signing of any of these big name players ended up amounting to anything in the end. Markieff Morris was the only one, obviously, that ended up leading to a championship. But the overall point here is that the buyout market is an important transaction period in time for the Lakers because this is the one area that I feel like Rob Pelinka actually excels in. He's able to get these big name free agents because in the buyout market, once they've reached a buyout agreement, these players have already received a majority of their money already. So now they're just looking for opportunity. And For the most part, in this 5-year history, Rob Pelinka has done a very good job in selling these players on playing in a Lakers jersey. But yes, pay close attention to the names that I'm about to bring up in this video because, as has been shown, as I've laid out, the Lakers typically get their guy on the buyout market. All right, so before I get to the specific names of some of my top potential buyout market free agents that I'd like the Lakers to sign, if I could please ask you guys to like this video, comment down below, and most importantly, please hit subscribe. I would appreciate it greatly. Do not let these AI run videos rule the day. I see some of them with like 9,000 subscribers and I'm just shaking my head. Guys, we can do better. You guys know the quality of content that I provide. So please just like a video, please just comment down below, and please hit subscribe. And if you would like to help me out in any small way financially, please also consider any of the links in the description box below. Buy me a coffee, Patreon, becoming a member for as little as $3.99 to this channel a month, where you'll get exclusive videos. Do all the things, and thank you for your support. Thank you for watching. All right, one more segue before I get into my list of my top favorite potential buyout guys that I'm looking at. And let me just bring up a slide of some super big name buyout guys that I think could be free agents come the trade deadline. Now, these are big names that I'm not necessarily enthused about, so I'll just bring them up first, considering I just laid out the Lakers' buyout history involving all of these big names. So it's actually very likely that the list I'm about to pull up will end up being more pertinent than my own favorite list. But let me pull it up anyways, and let's talk about the most likely big name players that I expect to get bought out. So number one, you guys all know, Nikola Vucevic. Between now and the trade deadline, I expect Vucevic to reach some sort of buyout agreement with the Chicago Bulls. And if he's traded in a salary dump, I expect the team that trades for him to buy him out. So he would be at the top of this list with regards to big names who might get bought out. I'm not the biggest Nikola Vucevic fan, but obviously if the Lakers can get him for a vet minimum, yes, I would take him, but he doesn't fall on my personal list. Number two, CJ McCollum out of the Washington Wizards. He will likely follow a guy like Marcus Smart in negotiating a buyout. Obviously, CJ McCollum is a talented player, talented scorer. I just don't know where he would fit on the Lakers unless an injury happened to Austin Reeves, at which point, yes, let's sign CJ McCollum to the veteran minimum after the buyout. Next, another big that I'm not entirely interested in, but he's a big name, Yusuf Nurkic, currently playing for the Utah Jazz. I could see him getting bought out. Now, the last two names on these lists, I kind of asterisk because it's more of a stretch that they'd be bought out, but I could see it happen if for some reason their teams decide to go in a different direction or they get squeezed out of their rotation. So first up is Colin Sexton. He got traded to the Charlotte Hornets this summer, and the Charlotte Hornets have a lot of guards. He's on an expiring $18 million contract. I could see a scenario in which, one, the Charlotte Hornets suck again, and two, they just want to siphon off all their minutes to their young guys, at which point Colin Sexton really doesn't factor into their future plans. I mean, he's an expiring contract, and if they can't find a deal for him, he may just want out in order to contend because he hasn't been to the playoffs, believe it or not, in his young career. And so I could see him and Charlotte reaching a buyout agreement, in which case, yes, maybe I should have added him to my personal list because, yeah, Colin Sexton would be a very valuable change of pace, speedy, active guard off the bench that I think could help any team, including the Lakers, even if they have a ton of guards. So keep a lookout for Colin Sexton, even though I don't think it's necessarily likely. And then the last one on this list, Kristaps Porzingis. I think this one is even less likely, but same sort of scenario. He's on an expiring $30 million contract. Right now, negotiations with Trae Young on an extension are a bit murky. We have no idea which direction the Hawks could go. Now, they ended up having a pretty solid and very strong offseason, but if they suffer a couple of key injuries and they decide to tank this season, and Kristaps Porzingis is like, I don't know what I'm doing here, I want to be on a contending team, then I could see them reaching a buyout agreement with Kristaps Porzingis, in which case he's a free agent. And would the Lakers then want a 6-month stab, a 6-month rental on Luka Doncic's former teammate in Dallas, Kristaps Porzingis. So that's my quick list of big names that I could see bought out who aren't on my personal list. Again, I could see the Lakers pulling from the big name buyout list here of Nikola Vucevic, Colin Sexton, Kristaps Porzingis, but I have some other candidates in mind who I think are a little bit more realistic and who the Lakers won't have much competition in trying to vie for. So let's get to that list right now. All right, so turns out I lied. Number one on my personal list of potential buyout free agents that I want the Lakers to monitor is a big name. And let's talk about Chris Middleton. He is currently on the Washington Wizards. He was traded to the Wizards last season after being with the Bucks for much of his career, after starting out with the Detroit Pistons. Chris Middleton is on a $33 million expiring contract. He plays the small forward position, and he is currently 34 years old. He is getting up there in age, even though 34 isn't old at all. Chris Middleton is 6'7" in height, and he has a 6'11" wingspan. He also weighs 223 pounds. Last year, between the Bucks and the Wizards, he averaged 12 points, 4 rebounds on 47% from the field and 36% from three. Chris Middleton is probably the most well-rounded 3-and-D-ish sort of wing that would fit almost perfectly with the Lakers. The problem with Chris Middleton, though, is he's been horribly injured and banged up the last couple of years, and he's going to be 34 to 35 years old this upcoming season. And it's not a question of skill and whether he can shoot the three, pass the ball, play at an efficient clip. The question is whether Chris Middleton can stay healthy and actually play on the court. And even if he is healthy, how much longer can he keep playing at 34, 35 years old? So Chris Middleton, if he proves through the first half of this season that he's still got some juice left in those legs and he can still actually defend some players, I would be absolutely down for a 3-month rental of Chris Middleton by the trade deadline when he reaches a buyout agreement with the Wizards. And he also has some, continuity with Marcus Smart. They were both on the Wizards to end that season. And you could imagine Marcus Smart doing some recruiting towards Chris Middleton as well. All right, let's move on to my number 2 buyout target, Kelly Oubre. So Kelly Oubre is also another wing. He's more of a small forward, power forward. He is currently on an expiring $8.3 million contract. As you've probably seen from recent reports, the Philadelphia 76ers are looking to shed salary in order to retain Quentin Grimes. And so even if they didn't trade Kelly Oubre, I expected Kelly to be bought out at some point because he opted into his contract this season. And so he is a very realistic buyout candidate. And even if the Sixers trade him to a team like the Brooklyn Nets, I expect the Brooklyn Nets to then waive him or reach a buyout agreement with him. So Kelly Oubre, small forward, power forward. He's 29 years old. He is 6'8" with a very long and nice 7'3" wingspan. He also weighs 203 pounds. Last season with the Sixers, he averaged 15 points, 6 rebounds, very healthy 1.5 steals on a pretty good field goal percentage, 47% from the field. Now, he only shot 29%, hitting 1.13s a game. But if you know anything about Kelly Oubre, he's a very offensively erratic player. He's kind of like Kyle Kuzma in some respects. But he has had some seasons in which he's shot and made almost 2 threes a game on better percentages, like 35, 36%. So I'm not too worried about Kelly Oubre's shooting because I just know he's going to be inconsistent. But I like Kelly Oubre more than most because in the seasons in which the Sixers have been competitive, he has played a big role in them being competitive because he's still a very athletic player who plays with pretty good motor, and his size and length is just a huge. He can be a real force on the defensive end when he's locked in. And also, he's a pretty good rebounder as well, averaging 6 rebounds a game. And I just like his overall activity and the fact that this is a dude who can score and get a bucket if need be. You wish he was a better catch and shoot 3-point shooter for sure. You wish he was a little bit less erratic, but this is a guy who on any given night for singular possessions can be a very good defender for you purely because of his length, But then on the other end, he can also drop 20 to 25 points on any given night. So I like the ceiling that Kelly Oubre provides, even though his floor is a bit erratic. But again, even at his floor, he has proven to be a useful rotation player on competitive teams. And the Lakers just so happen to need a 6'8" wing with a 7'3" wingspan. So view Kelly Oubre as the more erratic Rui Hachimura, who has a higher ceiling on both ends of the floor. So if Kelly Oubre gets bought out, I would absolutely love to take a flyer on Kelly Oubre, and I expect him to get bought out. All right, let's move on to my number 3 option, KJ Martin. Now, if you've been following this channel at all for a hot second, you would know my personal affinity for KJ Martin. KJ Martin is currently on the Utah Jazz. He is on a non-guaranteed $8 million contract, and the Jazz can actually cut him anytime between now and January, which is his guaranteed date. So it wouldn't even be necessarily a buyout. They can just cut him because they don't owe him his full contract. So I especially think KJ Martin is a good buyout market candidate because he could be a free agent anytime before January. So KJ Martin is a small forward / power forward. He is still only 24 years old, believe it or not. He is 6'6" in height and has a 6'7" wingspan. He weighs 216 pounds. In his career, he has averages of 8.6 points, 4 rebounds on 54% from the field, and 0.5 steals per game. Now, the best thing about KJ Martin is that he's explosive and athletic AF. He runs up and down the court like a blur, and he would just be that perfect injection of athleticism and speed that this Lakers team desperately needs. I've said it before, but I view KJ Martin as like a poor man's Dollar Tree version of Josh Hart. I feel like he could be Josh Hart for us, that tank of a wingish guard who can rebound the ball, who has really great motor, but just fights and scraps for the ball. But most importantly, he's way more athletic than Josh Hart, by the way. He is just explosive at the rim. He can detonate at the rim. I think KJ Martin would add a dynamic to this team that it's sorely missing in terms of a dynamic finisher. He's a lob threat. He's a guy who can help you in transition, just racing up and down the court. And he will give the Lakers and Crypto.com Arena that highlight reel dunk on a nightly basis. And we all know what that does for the momentum of a game when you see that crazy one-handed tomahawk jam. And so KJ Martin, when he eventually gets let off of this $8 million non-guaranteed contract, is a name that I would like the Lakers to try and get, especially because he's still only 24 years old. All right, so there is KJ Martin. Let's move on to my buyout candidate option number 4, and let's talk about Nick Richards. So Nick Richards is currently on the Suns. He is on an expiring $5 million contract. He is a center, still only 27 years old. He is 6'11", nearly 7 feet, with a 7'4" wingspan and weighs 245 pounds. Last season, Nick Richards averaged 9.3 points, 8 rebounds, 59% from the field, and 1 block. Now, Nick Richards, when he was on the Charlotte Hornets, he was a name that I was clamoring for, that other Lakers fans were clamoring for as the perfect backup big next to Anthony Davis. And the Lakers still have that need because DeAndre Ayton, we all know him as more of a scoring big. Yes, on his best nights, he can defend the ball, but we need a big man who just knows his job, a dirty garbage man type big who will just rebound the ball, hustle, do all the gritty things for you. And I think that's Nick Richards. Again, he almost averages a double-double off the bench, 9 points, 8 rebounds. And the other thing I really like about Nick Richards is he's also a very explosive pick-and-roll finisher. I mean, this dude really hammers it down. He knows how to hammer it down, very forceful and impactful at the rim. I know his time with the Suns was a bit up and down, but for the Lakers, we just need this guy to be better than Jackson Hayes, you know? And I think throughout his career, Nick Richards has established himself as a stable backup big man. And I think the Lakers could really use someone like him. And on the Phoenix Suns currently, they got Kaman Malawak, who they drafted at number 10. They just traded for Mark Williams. It almost feels like Nick Richards is the odd man out. And from his perspective, he may just want to get to a better situation where he can have more of an opportunity and more actual playing time. And so I wouldn't be surprised if he eventually comes to a buyout agreement with the Phoenix Suns. All right, let's move on to my next candidate and let's talk about Andre Drummond, the big penguin. Now, what's funny about Andre Drummond is he was on my list at the very beginning of this video because the Lakers have already signed Andre Drummond before to a buyout market deal. And honestly, I wouldn't mind if they signed him again. I know some Lakers fans will be losing their shit at this because they hate Andre Drummond. They probably think he hasn't done anything the past few years. He's probably washed up, et cetera, et cetera. But Andre Drummond, and I think the Sixers have also said that they're about to do this, whether the Sixers trade him to another team or buy him out themselves, Andre Drummond is about to be a free agent very soon. He plays the center position, as you all know. He's 32 years old, 6'11", with an insane 7'6" wingspan, and he weighs 280 pounds. Now, last season, in spite of the fact that he only played 17 to 19 minutes per game, Andre Drummond still averaged 7 points, nearly 8 rebounds, 1 steal, and 0.5 blocks. Now, I'm not saying Andre Drummond is the defensive rim protector that we need. I'm just saying that Andre Drummond does one thing very well that the Lakers need, and that is rebound the ball. Because Andre Drummond historically is one of the best rebounding big men in NBA history. And even in the last few seasons, he has still gobbled the ball up, secured that rebound, crashed the glass. He has still been one of the best permanent rebounders in the league. I believe 1 or 2 seasons ago with the Chicago Bulls coming off the bench, he was averaging 9 rebounds in just 19 minutes. So this guy knows how to box out. This guy knows how to clean up possession. So if the Lakers have the proper defensive personnel around him that can get that first stop, Andre Drummond will do the job in finishing the play and cleaning up the board or cleaning up the glass. So I wouldn't necessarily mind Andre Drummond buyout market signing part 2 from the Lakers, even though I know fans will probably have that kombucha girl taste in their mouth at this type of signing. All right, so you guys don't want to talk to Andre Drummond, so let's move on. I'm down to about 3 more candidates, but let's start talking about some stretch bigs. And let's talk about my next option, Chris Boucher. So Chris Boucher is currently signed with the Boston Celtics. He signed a veteran minimum contract with them for $3.2 million. He is a small forward, power forward. He's 32 years old. He is 6'9" in height with a long 7'4" wingspan. He only weighs 201 pounds, but you already knew that just by looking at him. Last season with the Toronto Raptors, he had a very solid season off the bench. He averaged 10 points per game, 4 rebounds, 36% from 3, knocking down 1.4 threes a game. In Chris Boucher's heyday, this was a dude who would average nearly 2 blocks a game and was regarded as one of the better stretch 4s, stretch 5s in the league. I don't know why he played center at one point, but he did. But yeah, Chris Boucher, I feel like, and this is a name that the Lakers have been attached to in the past. I believe Rob Pelinka actually tried to trade for this guy at one point. So I wouldn't be surprised if we spun the wheel on Chris Boucher if he eventually gets bought out by the Boston Celtics, which is a very realistic possibility because this is sort of a punted year for the Celtics with Jason Tatum injured. And so I would not be surprised if Chris Boucher finds himself as a free agent in a couple of months. And if the Lakers have the salary space below the first apron by that point, I would not mind signing Chris Boucher to get that stretch 5 option off the bench or stretch 4 option, especially because I view Chris Boucher as almost like the version of Jared Vanderbilt who can actually knock down 3-pointers. He's not as good as Jared Vanderbilt when it comes to perimeter defense, but he's a better rim protector than Jared Vanderbilt. Because remember, he used to average like 1.9 to 2 blocks a game. He's very good at blocking shots and protecting the rim. And obviously, he shoots the 3 ball hell of a lot better than Jared Vanderbilt. And so presumably, whenever we ship off Maxi Kleber for whatever we get back, there will be that open spot for a stretch 4, stretch 5. And, you know, if Rui Hachimura is also sent out in a trade, we are going to need that stretch 4 option. And I think Chris Boucher is one of the better stretch 4s because he can actually score the ball in a myriad and variety of ways. He can attack a closeout, take it all the way to the rim. He can handle the ball a little bit. And yeah, most of all, you can rely on him to be a 3 and D sort of guy. So Chris Boucher, keep a lookout for him. Nice stretch 4, stretch 5 option for the Lakers. All right, we're down to our last two. Let's move on to my next candidate and let's talk about Duop Reith. So Duop Reith is another stretch 4, stretch 5 option in the same vein as Chris Boucher. He's just a lot bulkier. Duop Reith is currently on a $2.2 million expiring contract. His contract was non-guaranteed this season, but the Portland Trailblazers, for whatever reason, ended up guaranteeing it. Duop Reith plays the power forward / center position. He is 29 years old. He is 6'11" in height with a nice 7'1" wingspan and weighs 245 pounds. In his career, Duop Reith has averages of 7 points per game, 3 rebounds, 35% from 3, knocking down 1.1 threes a game. And yeah, Duop Reith, kind of like Chris Boucher, can really knock it down from the outside. He can put the ball on the floor and has surprising agility and flexibility at the rim. I've seen him pull off some really nifty up and under layups, some nice left-handed layups. He's a pretty versatile offensive player. He's not the same sort of rim protector that Chris Boucher is. He's not a particularly awesome defender, but I do like that he has really nice size and bulk to him. He can really move some bodies in the paint. And most of all, again, he just gives the Lakers another look at having a sort of Markieff Morris type of player off the bench, even though he's not the same sort of defensive-minded, gritty type of player as Markieff Morris. But if you look at him, if you look at his frame and those broad shoulders, maybe the Lakers can sort of help mold him into that type of guy, because at the very least, at his base, Duop Reith is a guy who can knock down the 3 ball and even attack a closeout and take it all the way to the rim very strongly. So there is Duop Reith as a stretch option should he reach the buyout market, which I think it's very possible because the Portland Trailblazers have so many big men in their front court after drafting Yang Hansen. They still got Donovan Clingan. They still have Robert Williams. Maybe he's a buyout candidate that I should have put on this list. But yeah, Duop Reith, I wouldn't be surprised if he's bought out, even though he doesn't have much leverage as a veteran minimum player. But maybe if him and his agent hear that there's some interest for him in the buyout market, they will ask the Blazers to buy him out. So there is Duop Reith. All right, so now we're down to my last candidate, and I think Lakers fans will enjoy this one. Let's talk about Haywood Highsmith. So Haywood Highsmith is no longer a Miami Heat. He got traded and salary dumped essentially to the Brooklyn Nets. He is on a $5.6 million expiring contract. Haywood Highsmith, as you all know, is a small forward, power forward. He is 28 years old. He is 6'5" in height with a 7-foot wingspan and weighs 220 pounds. Last season, he averaged 6.5 points, 3.4 rebounds, 1 steal on 38% from 3. But Haywood Highsmith, we don't care about his offensive stats. We all care about what he does on the defensive end of the floor, because this guy is a professional defender who knows how to shuffle his feet, move his hips, and just has the motor to defend the best perimeter player on the opposing team. And so right now, I think the Brooklyn Nets are going to try and attempt to flip Haywood Highsmith one more time to see if they can get another second-round pick. It's important to note that Haywood Highsmith had an ACL tear and had surgery over the summer, and so he'll be rehabbing that. But if Haywood Highsmith proves to be healthy at some point and proves that he has no lingering effects from his surgery, this is the type of guy that the Lakers should absolutely be monitoring. And if he eventually reaches a buyout agreement with the Nets, which wouldn't be surprising at all because he's probably sitting there as a 28-year-old looking for his next contract and wondering, what the hell am I doing in Brooklyn with all of these young guys? And so if the Nets aren't able to trade him one more time because a team doesn't want to give up assets for a dude coming off of ACL surgery, they will probably just buy him out. And when they buy him out, the Lakers should come calling. Haywood Highsmith was actually a name that I, in the past, have lobbied for the Lakers to trade for and actually give up assets for. Then, obviously, the ACL tear happened and the Miami Heat just ended up salary dumping him. And so that threw a wrench into things. But now that the Lakers can actually potentially get him for free, even though there are some injury concerns attached to him, that's a flyer worth taking because they won't have to give up any assets. So there is Haywood Highsmith, one of my favorite candidates in this list, should he be healthy. All right, so there is my long and extensive list of potential 2026 buyout candidates to look out for. I pretty much ran the gamut from big names to smaller, more hipster and realistic names. I went through the Lakers buyout history. I did a lot of research and work on this particular video in September. So if you guys appreciate the work that I did, please remember to like this video, comment down below, and most importantly, please hit subscribe wherever I place it. And also consider helping me out in any small way financially / monetarily in the links below: Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee, Venmo, or become a member to the YouTube channel, Lakers Legacy Pod, where you will get exclusive perks and videos on a monthly basis. Sometimes they happen on a bi-weekly basis. You can binge about 6 videos right now. But yeah, with that said, thank you guys for your support. Thank you guys for tuning in. This has been Jonathan Hernandez of the Lakers Legacy Podcast, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace.